This short video is going to introduce energy. Energy can be thought of as a verb. So a verb, as in an action word, is not something that you would close your eyes and imagine. You know, I can't close my eyes and imagine an action. I can imagine somebody doing an action, but I can't really imagine an action. It's best to think of energy as a verb. This is why people that try and imagine what energy is, if they think of it as a noun, you won't be very successful. So it's not useful to think of a noun. You can do things to nouns with energy, but thinking of what energy itself is not very useful. So think in terms of a verb. Now, energy and work have the same units. So it's actually useful to think of work first, and then we'll get to appreciate the units of work as the same as units of energy. So if you imagine you have a distance, let's call this distance x. So from left to right we have a distance x. Now this x can be split up into an arbitrary number of pieces. Okay? So if each little piece, let's say, is the difference in x, so each little piece, let's say, is the difference in x. So this is one difference in x, this is a second difference in x, a third difference in x. Then it's a true statement that the sum of all the differences in x is equal to x. Or the sum of the pieces is equal to the whole. Okay? The sum of the pieces is equal to the whole. I'm going to move to a blue pen now for no apparent reason other than I have a blue pen. So work is defined as the sum, or rather, work is defined as the force exerted on an object over the sum of distances. So work is defined as the force exerted to an object over the sum of distances. So if I put an object here, let's say it's a round object, and I apply a force that way, well then by the time it gets here, I've done work on the object. So if I start over here, I force the object over here, it could be sliding the object across a table. If I force the object over here, I've done work on the object. And obviously, if I double the length, I double the work. If I half the length, I half the work, etc. So work is the force. Well, force is capital F. The sum of the distance is sum. Now sum we're going to write as an English letter S. So back when Sir Isaac Newton was alive, this is how they wrote S in England. S stands for sum. So the sum of the distance is S dx. So we typically write the dx here, and then we write the sum here. So this is a useful way to think of work. Work is force times the sum of the distances, or some people just write work is force times distance. So I think what's important is that we have force and distance as a product being equal to work, and work is something that we can imagine actually moving. We can close our eyes and imagine doing work, and this is a useful way to think of energy as a verb because work has units of energy.